here is Tim Pool and Matt Binder talking about the Green New Deal, and we're here. Binder tries to figure out, it's talking actually about a specific policy set as opposed to a hypothetical white group of kids.
Right. I wanted to get down what made Tim Pool what he calls himself to be like a moderate, someone who's moderate on the left. Because remember, his whole claim is that he's not a conservative, he's not a right winger. He's actually someone who's like left leaning, sort of in the middle, a moderate. He just thinks the left got too far, and that's why he's moving a little bit to the right, but still not a right winger. So I'm trying to understand what positions actually makes him claim that whatever left he claims to be. I'm trying to get that down.
So you're being specific, but you're also being so obtuse.
Right.
With that,
calm down.
Yeah, just you're being hysterical. You're a hysterical leftist, but you're also smug, according to Tim Pool fans. Here he is trying to figure out. Okay, you're sort of on the left. What policy positions do you support? The Green New Deal, etc.
And got Republicans to clap for it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So I'm pro-choice.
Well, we could talk about that.
Yeah, I'm pro-progressive tax. I'm pro-Green New Deal.
Are you?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really?
I don't think you watched the show.
I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
Do you mean like free college for black people?
What?
Did you read the Green New Deal?
No, I did, but that's what bothers you?
What bothers me is that when I advocate for environmental policy, having worked for several environmental nonprofits,
I don't think the policy says free college for black people.
No. It's free college. It's free healthcare for marginalized and oppressed communities. What does that have to do with wind turbines?
What are you talking about? It's everything to do with the environmental situation we're going to be in.
No, that's race policy. That's identitarianism.
No, it's not. What do you think happens when climate change affects the United States of America? Who do you think is going to be the most affected by it? Who's not going to be able, like Ben Shapiro said, who's not going to be able to just get up, sell their house that's sailing out to the sea and going underwater, like Ben Shapiro said? Who's going to be able to easily get themselves out of a situation that sees their neighborhood getting flooded, they're going to lose what they currently have. It's not going to be the wealthy. It's not going to be people who are in a comfortable situation who could just get up and move. It's going to be people who don't have means. So when we lift people out of poverty, we'll be able to better address climate change issues when they arise.
Just to go back real quick, I did find the data showing that YouTube overwhelmingly
he changed the subject. We could pause it there.
And not the right.
So that was a hard change of subject. So he's going back to something. As you're trying to pin him down on policy, he goes back to something that you were discussing previously.
Yeah.
Wait, that's it? We never get back to the
I don't think we do. No, he does. We get back to other stuff that make him left later on. But yeah, he doesn't want to. He didn't want to. I mean, that's his
revealing moment right there. Speaking of Green New Deal, let's get back to some YouTube demographics.
I mean, also his whole framing, like, I don't know if he's ever said it just like that on his show before. Maybe he has. But I mean, to me, that's revealing too, that he views Green New Deal policy that tries to lift people out of poverty in marginalized communities. He views that as free college for black people specifically.
Oh, he said black with a lot of force.
That is interesting too.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I mean, I don't know. Like, that clip was also super revealing about when you mentioned Binder at the beginning, like what he claims his ideology is, that he's on the left, but he's not as crazy as the rest of the leftists. What he serves, and obviously he's not on the left, I can say this. He has a right-wing audience, and he is feeding them what they want to hear in the form of, I'm the last liberal. It's like Dave Rubin kind of stuff, right? But the left has gone so crazy that I'll present myself as a center leftist. So when you have further right positions, when your positions agree with me, and maybe if you even go further right, maybe you're dancing with white supremacy or really problematic notions, it's not as extreme as you think, because I'm in the center. And that's what's really insidious about it to me.
And I do want to point out, though, that from the reaction, and that's why I do these sort of things, because I do want to try to engage with the audience. Like, I don't go on these shows thinking I'm going to change Tim Pool or his co-host Seamus's views or anything like that. They are who they are. That's fine. I just want him to, like, if those are his views, I mean, they're his views. I can't, whatever. People have conservative views. We live in the United States of America. People are all over the place politically, sure. But I just don't want him to misrepresent who he is to his audience, because I always knew that the reason he does that, the thing he does, where he doesn't say he's a right winger or a conservative, is because he wants to broaden his audience and make them believe he is who he says he is. And people who aren't all that political think, oh, this guy is, he's not a crazy leftist or one of those far right wingers. He's got to be telling it just like it is, down the middle, the truth. And I just want them to know that that's not the case. That's not true at all. And I will say his whole, his presentation does seem to be effective. I have heard from a lot of people who have said to me, I watch Tim Pool every day. I really enjoyed what you had to say. I am really starting to think that Tim Pool is drifting further and further right. Yeah. And I mean, I heard it from them in messages, on DMs. I heard it from them in phone calls that you can listen to on my show when they called in Tuesday night to my show. And, him saying that works. And his audience, while mostly right wing, I will say Tim Pool probably has the most non-conservatives of all the YouTube channels watching a conservative show.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's super important.
Gateway. It's a gateway. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I think it's super important to, if we're going to pay attention to any of these guys, I think Tim Pool is the one to pay attention to.
And that example is such a really good example of how he basically serves the elites and even like the college educated elites, because the exact the rationale, like you pointed out, Binder, for the education stuff in the Green New Deal is providing resources, training, and higher quality education, including higher education to all people in the United States, with a focus on frontline and vulnerable communities. So, which Tim said, black people, which I think is revealing. So those communities may be full and equal participants in the Green New Deal. So it's specifically not. So all of the PMCs that are educated now get to drive this thing themselves because they're the ones who have the educations. So it's this idea that, like, I mean, it's so insidious. Like, if you're a rich person enjoying Tim Pool, like, yeah, I mean, he speaks for you. But if you're somebody who needs, like, is left behind by the economy, for instance, like, Tim Pool wants to suggest that it's black people getting put in front of you, rather than, like, there's actually on the table something that we could all push for that helps everybody.
100%.
Yep.
Now let's see when you try to pin him down on abortion here. You want to go to that? That's okay, Ben?
Yeah, let's do that one. I think that's the last clip we have, right? And listen, this conversation, out of the 3.5 hours we talked, the vast majority of it was about abortion. And, if it is what it is. That's how it went down. I had a feeling we would talk about it, but I went in thinking we would talk mostly about the Buffalo shooting. I have a problem with, like, a round table of just guys talking about abortion. Unfortunately for me, as I'm going in, and that's when Tim Pool shot out that tweet that made him go viral. Like, that was that same day. The one where he made that, again, hypothetical scenario of, what do you do to a baby when a pregnant woman who's 8 months pregnant walks into a abortion clinic, and while she's in the lobby getting ready to have her abortion, she actually delivers the baby? What do they do with the baby then? As if a living, breathing baby who's already been born into this world, if you would do something to that baby to not let it live, that would be homicide, not abortion. The baby is alive at that point. This isn't something to ponder. It's very simple. It's very simple.
It's very simple, and it's not like a useful hypothetical in any way, because no one on the left is advocating for anything close to that in terms of abortion rights. But in that clip we played before your debate, Binder, when they were reacting gleefully, him and I believe that co-host of his, to the Roe decision. I mean, they would say maybe not gleefully, but Tim Pool seemed pretty happy. That's the hypotheticals that they engage in. They strawman the left's position in a way to make the right's position on this seem more palatable. So here he is engaging with you, Binder, at least you're trying to get him to engage on Roe v. Wade in particular. Specifics, Tim Pool. Specifics.
We could, if you want to have the political conversation, we could do that. But I want to go back to what we were just talking about. Because I don't think you definitively said on the record, what is your position on Roe v. Wade? Do you prefer it
For it. Yeah, my issue outside of Roe v. Wade is this country is being ripped apart.
No. But you just said
prevent conflict.
You just said before that you'd prefer it not to happen because you hated what was happening in Colorado. And
no, that's not what I said.
That is what you said.
No, it isn't.
I wish we could rewind this. People will be able to rewind this. That's what you said.
Calm down. Colorado is the extreme left position. If I were to say the states can make their own decision, Colorado is allowed to keep doing what they're doing. That's not restricting it. If I were to say the federal government should step in, it would stop Colorado from doing it. My position on Roe v. Wade, for the most part, is that I agree with it. My position on today's politics across the board is that the country is being gutted and ripped apart, and perhaps preventing conflict means pulling back on what states can do, weakening the federal government.
Okay. I mean,
that's not a position on abortion. It's a position on authority versus liberty. It means bad things will happen I don't like. But it also means I'm worried that the extreme polarization of Colorado or Virginia versus Oklahoma are deeply troubling, and maybe pulling back federal authority can help alleviate some of the tension. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed answer, and I don't know it's right. But my position on authority versus liberty is irrespective of abortion. My position on authority and liberty means bad things happen I don't like, but I'm trying to stop people from killing each other. If you have a total ban on abortion, the left goes nuts. If you have unrestricted abortion, the right goes nuts. I'm actually
what we have right now. It's
you
talk about.
I'm sorry. Oh, Binder, I thought you were actually talking, but that was you in the debate talking. But like, I mean, I don't know. Go on, I guess. Respond to that a little bit more, because like that's just another example of him unable to engage in actual substantive policy discussion, and he only wants to talk about abstract concepts of liberty versus blah blah. I mean, nothing that's practical.
Right. What he brought up before, and I'll mention this more after, but what he brought up before when it came to the abortion debate was he has a real problem with states that allow abortions in the third trimester, like late in the third trimester. And I'm trying to get them to understand that when you're that far along, you want to have that pregnancy, you want to see that pregnancy through, you want a baby. And they just refuse to can they just deliver the baby? I'm saying when women are going that late into their pregnancy, it's because something has gone horribly wrong. Their life is in danger. They found something extremely wrong with the fetus where it's going to have no or very bad quality of life, and decisions have to be made. No one is just walking in and going, I think I'm going to get an abortion today in their 9th month of pregnancy.
Yeah.
But that's what he wants to focus on. And that's why he has a problem with Roe v. Wade, because it allows that, even though he claims to be for Roe v. Wade. And he keeps talking about this compromise. We need to compromise. We need to compromise. Well, Roe v. Wade says that you can, and Casey comes after and even broadens it for the states that want to do more to restrict it. But with the current laws we have, leaves it up to the states to allow abortion up to when they want it, and put restrictions on abortion as long as it's not in, I believe, the before viability. But you can make women jump through hoops to even get it then. But you can't put restrictions on if the woman's health is in danger. So I mean, you can't you can't be making the argument he's making and also claim like you want things to be left to the states, because they are left to the states right now.
It's the epitome of like male privilege, frankly, to be able to just like have a philosophical conversation about women's rights being taken away, and like, bad things might happen, but that's just the price of liberty.
And that's the thing. They wanted me. And this is what really bothered his audience and them. Anyone who's watched the whole thing, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We must have gone on for 45 minutes, honestly, back and forth throughout the show. If you put all these pieces together, throughout that 3.5 hours, they constantly came back to try to pin me down on what my moral view is on abortion. They kept saying, what do you believe? And I would constantly, I wasn't going to play that game, because this is my moral decision. They just didn't like it. My moral decision on abortion, my moral feelings about abortion is that it is up to a woman what she wants to do when she's pregnant. It's in her hands. It's her body, and she confers with a doctor, and they decide what's in the best interest of her health and the fetus. And that's my moral position. Everyone's situation is different. I don't have that's it. They wanted me to say like I like abortion. I don't like it. It's not even that simple. Abortion's not always a sad, horrible thing in terms of like I'm sure for a woman who wants a baby, it's very sad if something goes wrong and they have to get an abortion. But if that abortion is saving their life, then that abortion is a miracle of medicine, that we were able to save that woman's life through this abortion. It's sad that she couldn't have the baby because something went wrong medically, but that abortion is going to save her life. That's my moral view of abortion. They don't accept
that because they want to have a personal morality policing argument. And that's why I don't even engage with debates about should we have an exception for rape or incest? Because when you do that, that means abortion is such an immoral act in and of itself that it can be canceled out by other immoral acts that lead to that pregnancy. But for the most part, it's actually something that's very dirty and should not be normalized in society. And it's the same thing that they're trying to do by making you make a blanket moral claim about the individual act of an abortion, as opposed to like the larger moral claim that you're making that they just don't accept, which is the ability for women to make their own decisions about their health.
Right, and that's the moral decision. If you believe that, especially from his standpoint of liberty and it's my body, that's the moral decision that even Tim should be making. But he's refusing to make that his moral decision is actually the opposite of what he always claims. His moral decision is that for some reason for him, abortion is okay up to like 15 weeks. Why 15 weeks? I don't think we got to that. But for me, I don't understand how you would be fine with it at 15 weeks. Why not? If that's your position that it's a baby, a human baby, why not at 6 weeks? When the heart there's a fetal heartbeat? Why not at 24 weeks when it's viable? I mean, randomly just coming up with like, and the whole conversation too about like, when does life begin? Guess what? I don't give a shit. No one's going to know. No one's going to be able to decide. No one's going to agree. Who cares about that moral that pondering of philosophy? That's constantly what he wanted to get to too. The philosophical mysteries of the world. I don't care.
It's ivory tower garbage.
Yes, a woman is pregnant. She needs to decide what to do with her body, whether she wants the baby, doesn't want the baby. She confers with her doctor, makes the ultimate choice with her doctor. Period. That's simple. That's my view on abortion. Don't care to tell you anything else because I don't got anything else for you. That's my moral decision.
I mean, this is an issue that is capturing basically all the psychic energy that used to lead to things like witch hunts. And when you have those sort of hypotheticals like, well, what if a woman goes into an abortion clinic and delivers a child right before it? Like that, what that is useful for is as a window into the imagination of these folks and how they think of women, right? That's really all that they think of it, because none of those things actually happen in real life. Any sort of late abortion, as it were, is to save somebody's life.
100%.
And if you play a little bit more, he rewind it just a little bit so people get the context. He said it so fast, and it was after that whole speech about authority and what you can do with yourself. But I don't think people noticed. He basically, and I don't even think he noticed. I'm sure he would say he didn't mean to say this or I'm taking it out of context or something. But I ask him, and he does sort of say that he doesn't support Roe v. Wade in a weird way. Play it.
Right.
But my position on authority versus liberty is irrespective of abortion. My position on authority and liberty means bad things happen I don't like, but I'm trying to stop people from killing each other. If you have a total ban on abortion, the left goes nuts. If you have unrestricted abortion, the right goes nuts. I'm actually
what we have right now. It seems to be you talk about compromise, right? I've heard you talk about compromise. What we have right now would be your perfect scenario, right?
It's not, because in many states, they're removing all restrictions, and the Democrats at the federal level just tried to allow the termination of a baby at 9 months. If they add a provision to it that says all efforts must be made to save the life of a baby, and took out the term abortion and said a pregnancy can be ended. That
didn't pass. You don't have to worry about it.
They just tried to pass it.
And it didn't pass.
Do you know where I live?
Sure.
West Virginia.
I mean, I'm here right now.
Do you know who my senator is?
It's Joe Manchin.
And who stopped the bill from passing?
There you go.
And why do you think I'm talking about it?
Because you're a big fan of Joe Manchin.
Because Joe Manchin did something I like. I don't like Joe Manchin for the most part, but
What don't
I do
you like
this.
about him?
Oh, sure.
I think he's an establishment shill. I think he just says what he thinks is gonna play the best, and I don't think he's genuinely interested in fixing problems.
What did you think about him killing Build Back Better?
You mean the infrastructure plan?
No, the bill that had a swath of things. The main thing for me, the main thing that would have really been amazing, is the child care, the return of the child tax credits, the extension of what is it, the 3K federally. I mean, those are huge, amazing things. If you're a fan of doing the best for children in this country, those things were fantastic.
So, in 2008. Into 2012, into 2016, I've always been in favor.
I got
of social
listen. I
programs.
did. We can pause it there. I did get him to say. I did because he's basically taking a little bit of credit, saying that he thinks the people who watch his show, or maybe directly himself. I couldn't quite understand how close that his belief here goes. But he was saying that he had an effect on Joe Manchin's position on that abortion bill. And so I get him to look at the camera and tell Joe Manchin to vote for the next bill that has that extends the child tax care credits.
And Joe Manchin's position, so people remember, was that he wasn't going to support codifying Roe v. Wade into law because it would eliminate the hundreds of anti-abortion limitations on, like, this clinic has to have ceilings that are 13 feet high and the room has to be 7 feet wide, or this woman has to listen to the electronic pulse of the fetus in order before making their decision. Like, that's the position. And if you're clear about that, it sounds as insane as it is.
Right. I mean, he does say, I bring it up as clearly as I can. If you want to compromise, you're sick and tired of the left and the right fighting, and you think like Tim does, there's going to be a civil war, we need to find a middle ground, then Roe v. Wade seems like a pretty great compromise, doesn't it? I mean, if you agree with for 15 weeks, like Tim says, you can put no restrictions on the first trimester. If you have an issue around there, well, guess what? At viability, which is around it's in the middle of the second trimester, it's usually around 20 weeks, 21 weeks, you can restrict, like many red states currently do. And as you get later into the third trimester, which is I think it's 26, 27 weeks, something like that, then you could outright ban, except for in the case of the health of the mother. Seems like a pretty great compromise, right? But then he says that he doesn't prefer the compromise. I mean, that's Roe v. Wade. If you don't prefer the compromise, then you don't support Roe v. Wade.
He says leave it to the states, and then immediately starts attacking one of the states that is going to protect abortion.
Yeah. Well,
leave it to the states, but I don't like what this state is doing and making abortion easier to access.
Authority versus liberty. That's it's just, frankly, it's this is why
my concern with them is that what happened.
It's okay. That's why I'm just allergic to a lot of philosophy, is because I think, it's so much more important to learn history and sociology so you have actual practical understandings of topics, as opposed to this just garbage that has, it's so masturbatory, and it also is not even relevant to politics. Like, authority versus liberty, what are we talking about here in the abstract if it has no practical application, which it doesn't. That's the only plane he seems to feel comfortable in. I
would recommend this if you put this up, Bradley. Just another sort of supplement to the debate. Tim Bontoast's long, hour-long expose. Tim Pool fence sitter. For anybody who's followed Binder and questioning the diet that they've been given for, in consuming Tim Pool content, this is a really good explainer of why it's not the best nutrition you could be given your brain.
Right. I mean, I watched that video again, actually, before I went on there. And it's amazing because he ends up, if you watch that, definitely watch it, but he ends up sort of trying to turn it around and take that as oh, it's a good thing that I'm a milk. The whole phrase is the milk toast fence sitter. Yeah. And somewhere in his career, he decides, well, I'm going to try to revert that into it being a positive. I'm the fence sitter. That's how I'm not left or right. No, that's not what fence sitting means. It's not a good thing that you're a fence sitter, that you try to play to both sides while ultimately having one side. I mean, it's bizarre.
He's more like a fence, like somebody that's holding the barbed wire fence open so people can go through it toward the right wing.
Yeah.
Right.